That's it, slightly elevated.
Cameras okay?
Yeah.
Stuart, just looking back at what you've done over the international break, what's the message been to the players after such a good run of form?
Genuinely not changed since before that Hibs game, and even much before that. It's just always about trying to find a level of consistency. You've heard me saying a number of times that by us breaking up and thinking it's holiday time and that we've actually achieved something is never going to work for us. So there was plenty of work last week, and there's been plenty of work done in the build-up. Obviously a bit of disruption in the sense that we've had a number of players away in international duty, but I never take that as a negative. We have to find a way around that. We have to make sure that we're still getting our message across, getting our work in, and then ultimately getting everybody back together today. Some have played more minutes than others, some have travelled longer than others, so the big clubs have been doing that for many a year. So we've been very vigilant as a staff to make sure that we're trying to put everybody in a good place, whether they can do full sessions, partial sessions, or whether they need to get to their bed and get a few more hours sleep. So we're well on top of that, but just really looking forward to bringing us all back together again today. We have been building our game plan and our thought process towards Dundee on Saturday with the guys that we've been working with. So now we've had some real good time. And you can imagine when you're winning games of football and you've been doing well, then the feel-good factors here at the football club. But I think it's here in the kind of community as well. I think there's a real good feel-good factor run about Motherwell in general, and it's our job to try and keep that going.
Yeah, you say it's your job to keep that feel-good factor going. Looking back at those games, do you think that's the best run of form you've had since you've been here?
I don't know. I think when I first came in, I don't know statistically if it's the best run, but I think when I first came in, I think we won a hell of a lot of games, and we've won plenty of games in my time here, and we've had some good spells, some good runs. But I'm kind of about the here and now. I'm kind of about what we're trying to build and how we're trying to move forward. And I don't really get caught up too much in trying to compare and contrast. I just feel that we find ourselves with a group of players that are performing well, that are high in confidence at this minute in time. I continually tell you that we're together. I don't say that for effect, it's because we are. I don't see one bad 45 minutes, one bad moment in a game, or one bad game of football derailing that in any way. We're trying to build something that's here and has longevity. I always have been, and as I say, we just look forward to the next opportunity to play, and as that comes on Saturday, I'm sure we'll get to that. But we've got another really tough opponent, and a team that I think have probably not got as many points as they possibly could have with some of their performances and some of their displays to this point. So it's going to be a real tough game for us, but I feel like I say that every week, and again there's a reason behind that, because this league is ridiculously competitive.
Yeah, we'll get on to Dundee in a second, but just looking ahead almost until the next international break, do you think you can repeat that last section of games? Obviously you've got big matches coming up as well, of course, the League Cup semi-final as well.
Do I believe? 100%. Yeah, I always do. I always think about pushing boundaries. I always believe in trying to challenge yourself, never slipped into a comfort zone. And as I say, we've really tried to challenge the players the last few days and training to make sure that we get back up to that level. But you know what? I'm not going to get lost in. As you just said it there, it doesn't derail anything if you emulate that or not. But for us, it's simply trying to work towards as much success as we possibly can. What does that look like? You've got a cup competition and you've got a league campaign to try and win as many games of football as you possibly can. But we have a group of people here that have a desire to do that. I think if you sit in fear of not being able to try and get to that level or amass as many points or do well in a cup competition, then again you'll find yourself coming up seriously short. So I think my job is just to continue to have players sort of climbing the walls to get out there on Saturday. If you're in the team, you're desperate to go and put on a display, and if you're not, you're desperate to come on and have the impact that many of our substitutes have been able to. And we are getting to a stage where competition's really fierce for not just getting in that starting 11, but the competition's fierce for trying to get in the match day squad, and I think that really drives a standard as well. And the one thing we don't accept here is petulance. The one thing we don't accept here is feeling sorry for yourself. So if you don't start in the team or you don't find yourself in the match day squad, there's only one answer to it, and that's to get yourself back out there and try and impress and show that you're better than the person that's ahead of you just now. But that's a really simple formula that I've believed in for a number of years, and I think that is the thing that drives the standard at a football club.
Stuart, there's been 7 or 8 games played, and there have been 2 international breaks already. We're going to have another one in 3 or 4 weeks' time. What's your thoughts about these disruptions?
I don't really have a thought process, to be honest with you. I think we can look at it so many different ways. If we're winning games and we're in a good spell, generally you'll say you want to keep going. I think I remember saying it last year that we had so many injuries and so many challenges, and we were in a good spell going into the first international break, if I remember right. And you're saying, but I was actually looking forward to it because I felt we could maybe try and get a couple of players back. So there is no right or wrong. That's what's in the calendar. I don't look too far into it. I'm just genuinely looking at what the next fixture is. I know we've got a tough spell of games coming up, but hopefully quite an exciting period for us in the lead up to the next international break. And that's what it is. I always believe in trying to formulate a plan that works best for the players. If we get our environment right here, if we get our messaging right here, international breaks or not, it doesn't really have any impact. But the one thing I would say on it is, I think 6 international players we had away over the piece. You try telling any of these guys that we're not having another break and another opportunity for them to go and represent their country, they'd be disappointed. You know, I'm looking at guys like Apostolos and Christian and Lennon, Ewan, JT. They're absolutely desperate to go and represent their country, so it's a massive thing for them. And it's also about us trying to create that environment, as I say, here on the pitch, run about the football club, that it's still a place that you've got a real enthusiasm to come in and work and make sure that you're continuing to improve. And that's what it's all about. It's not just about trying to time fill, it's about trying to improve.
You spoke about a feel-good factor around the club and around the community. How is the community thing coming across to you? How are you getting impacted by that?
Great. No, there's been so much good work. I think you can see that kind of synergy at this minute in time, which is really important to us as a football club, between you know, the players, the coaching staff, the hierarchy at the football club, the Well Society, the general community, the community trust. It's so important for us, and you know, it's not just a pitch for me to, you know, that's something that I've been told to say. That's generally how I feel. That's what this football club should look and feel like. It's always driven by results on the pitch. There's no question about that. Anything that's a success run about a football club's always driven by what the supporters see and the commitment they see from the players on the pitch on a Saturday. But I feel that, you know, I was asked, is this the best place we've been in? I would say it's the best place we've been in as a whole, and include everybody in this area, in this community. I've certainly not been getting carried away with it, but I think it's sort of emulated, and I think it's sort of stemmed from that quarter final, to be honest with you, the Friday night, where everybody bought into coming here to try and support the club, to try and see if we can get a run in the cup competition, getting the result, trying to capture people's imagination, trying to back that up. I think it just keeps people on board. And you know, I'm not a naive guy. I understand that if performance levels and commitment drops below the standard that we've set, then people will start to drift away, people will start to lose interest. So that's a huge driving force for me, but I can also assure you that the effect that has on the players is incredible. You know, that negative shouting or whatever at any football player across the world, and you know, berating football players when they're giving their all and they're maybe just not having the best day, it does have a negative effect. But I think you see the effect that it has when players can see, supporters can see, and the community can see how much these guys give every day. I can't criticise them, I genuinely can't. From every training session to every game we play in, we might come up short and we might make a few mistakes and a few bad decisions. The one thing I've never had to challenge this group on is the commitment that they give to the cause, and if we can continue that for the full duration of a season, it gives us a chance of consistent performances and consistent results.
How much are you able to enjoy this period?
I don't, to be honest with you. I enjoy winning games of football. My biggest passion is seeing players improve. It always has been my biggest passion. Everyone is here in professional sport, not just football, say I'm the biggest winner ever, and I detest it, and you can't speak to me when we've lost a game of football. I'm genuinely like that. You know, not speaking to family for days and stuff like that. I really am. Can be bad for that. But my biggest passion's always seen people evolve, not just football players, staff, everyone, seen a football club grow and improve, but especially football players seeing improvements in them. Seen an awful lot of that at this minute in time. That's a bit that does inspire me. That's a bit that really does motivate me. But you know, in terms of how much you enjoy it, I'm no one for sitting here patting myself and everybody else in the back. You know, I spoke about 7 league games and a cup competition. The task is to continually do it, repeat it again. I've said it through my playing career, I've said it through my managerial coaching career when there's been really good milestones and good successes. I'm probably one of those guys that just thinks about the next thing and trying to achieve something else. And again, not to impress anybody, we're all programmed in different ways. I'm no one for jumping through hoops and celebrating and fist pumping and all that type of stuff. I'm one for moving on and thinking about the next task.
Aston Hobson to Wandermas when he's signing new deals over the sort of break, pleased with sort of getting them tied up for the longer haul?
Delighted, yeah, absolutely delighted. I think that their performances have more than earned that. You know, trying to get a little bit of business done and trying to get a wee bit of stability in terms of our squad's been really important for us. We had a situation last year where we were obviously working towards maybe trying to bring players on board for longer contracts, trying to protect, you know, our assets and things like that, and that maybe fell through the cracks for one reason or another. And it's not a criticism, but I'll speak about this, that we need the willingness of the player, we need the willingness of their family, and we need the willingness of their representative to be on board with that. You know, I think sometimes we as a football club, and even before my time, have had a bit of criticism for not re-signing players, and I think people think that we've maybe not spoken to them and maybe not tried to make that happen. I can assure you that we're very forward thinking, and assets at this football club, guys that are performing really well, we ensure that we want to try and put ourselves in a position to keep them here for as long as we can, because we don't want to go through too many summers that we did last summer where there's just complete wholesale changes. That's fine and well. We feel we're bringing in a lot of good players and a lot of fresh faces that add something, but you want that to be at a minimal in transfer windows. We don't want to be doing, you know, sort of 15, 16 ins and the same going back out the way. We have to ensure that there's some level of consistency in what we do, and that's certainly been the plan for us.
Are there others you're sort of speaking with? There's also maybe a couple of others who are maybe coming to the end of terms in 2025 alongside the guys who have extended long haul, and there are other players in conversations over potentially extending beyond next summer? Yeah, there is. That's something that we're addressing. That's something that, again, without giving too much away, we would hope that there's other bits of news to break and various things like that we're really upbeat and positive about. But there's all different situations as well when you look at what contracts players are on, terms, what level of contract players are on. So there's a number of different factors within that. But what we are trying to do is work our way through a situation where we have a level of consistency. As I've just said, I'm repeating myself, that level of consistency to our group, knowing who we're working with, ensuring, as I say, that we protect the assets of the football club. Because I'll refer back to it that our business model, if you want, for want of a better phrase, is that we want to try and develop players and also have those sellable assets where it starts to help the finances of the football club. We've made no secret of that in my time and before my time here, that's something that we need to try and be good at, and that's something that we need to try and drive every day. And this, what we're talking about, contract extensions, we believe helps in that process.
Stuart, I know you've talked about the law recently, but Lennon's won September Player of the Month since I spoke to you. Scored a great goal for the 21s. Does any of it surprise you anymore?
No, it doesn't. I was at the game on Friday, tough game for Scotland against a really good Belgian side at Tynecastle. There was a big ask of Lennon to play a lot of the game without the ball. There was a huge ask on the running aspect without, possession of the ball. I've quite clearly seen him better in possession. I've quite clearly seen him more effective in games of football. But again, that bit, we'll all talk about the goal he scores the other night. I'm especially pleased with that work ethic that he shows, the ground that he covers, trying to do the kind of ugly, dirty side of the game, because we always know that when opportunities come up, such as they did the other night, it has that type of quality. But none of it doesn't surprise me. It genuinely doesn't. That's not, again, to get carried away or continue to blow smoke when it comes to Lennon. It's just that I've always felt that as each challenge is presented in front of him, he's one of those players, and that they can be a rarity, that the level just seems to go up with the greater the challenge. And I think he's shown that continuously domestically here, but obviously getting that opportunity to play for Scotland's under-21s, I think he's had a real good impact on the 3 or 4 games that he's took part in for them. And I've no doubt that not just here, but at that international setup, that he adds massive quality to it.
And can he take inspiration from another young player like Ben Doak, who started 2 games for Scotland just there? And if he is called upon, do you think he's ready for that step up as well?
Again, I need to say that's not my call. That isn't my call. I know that I'm fully aware that everybody's banging on about Lennon and how he should be in the A squad with Scotland, etc. I'm not getting embroiled in that. I genuinely, I'm not. We've got a very good manager that leads the national team here in Scotland. Somebody that I massively respect. Somebody that I think's done an excellent job. If you're asking me personally, do I think that he can step up and play at that level? Of course I do. I have no doubts that's a possibility. But what Lennon needs to focus on is exactly what he's doing just now, and I can assure you he's not getting carried away with himself. He knows he needs to come here and continue to perform for Motherwell, and if he's called upon to go and play with Scotland's under-21s, then he needs to continue putting in levels of performance that he has done, impacting games with goals and assists, which he has done, and I still believe that the good things will continue to happen for him, no doubt about it.
Just moving back to Saturday, you're back at home, you're in action. Who would you expect from Motherwell and from Dundee?
Well, I know what I expect from Motherwell, but from Dundee, I've already said it, that you know, that I think they're a very good side. I know they've lost one or two key contributors for them last season, but I think Tony's done really well in his recruitment. I think they've got a lot of good options in their team. I think they're a team that come right after you. I think they're a team that come at you and go and try and beat you. I don't think they sit there and wait to see what's going to happen in a game of football. And I've said it already. I think they're probably a team that are short of a couple of points that they possibly deserved a little bit more out of, just from a couple of the games that I've seen where they've performed well. So again, I think we're playing against someone that acquitted themselves so well last season in their first year back in the top flight. And look to have evolved again. They look as if they've strengthened again, so it's going to be a tough game for us, and we're going to have to show everything that we have done in recent weeks to give ourselves a chance to get something out of the game.
Everything squad wise?
Yeah, we've got a bit of disappointment, to be honest with you. We've lost Paul McGinn. We've lost Paul McGinn for a significant period of time. A muscle injury, completely innocuous, and very simply he's going to miss a real good chunk. We'll be a wee bit more specific on that, but the fact of the matter is that we're going to be without our captain. And then the other injuries and the other kind of long-termers are exactly where they kind of need to be, just to clarify that. They're moving along well, but obviously huge disappointment in us losing Paul.
Does that concern you, even in terms of how unlucky that's been? You've had quite a number of injuries this season.
I can't do anything about it. You know, I've spoken about it that many times that we ward against it. You know, we work very, very closely with sports science and our medical staff, who for me are absolutely top draw. The guys are absolute masters of their trade. So sometimes that happens in football. Sometimes you get injuries. We've tried to mitigate those circumstances, but sometimes it happens.
What happened with Paul?
It's literally just it's a thigh injury, to be a wee bit more specific, but striking the ball, and it looks as if he has a muscle tear, which is a rare thing.